Hi there, I'm Linden Thorp, and this is Your Body is Your Business Plan Masterclass. And we run this session every Wednesday for 13 whole weeks. And we cover lots of embodiment topics. And I have the great pleasure to co-host. And today we've got a wonderful co-host, a dear friend of mine, who I will introduce to you in a moment. But today's topic is trust. This has been my topic now all week. I've been writing about it, talking about it, commenting about it, and it's a really important topic at this time with the rise of AI and also with our need to be authentic and to be present in everything we do, online especially. So trust is something that we need to feel. And I say that very pointedly because many people think we can manufacture trust. No. It is something we are. It is in our nervous system. We don't build it. That's a very common phrase. People build trust. No, you don't build trust. You allow it to function because it's already built into your DNA. And all we need to do is connect with the body to allow that trust to function so we can feel it. Trust is about feeling. It's not out there. It's in here. And it's really important that we understand that. Just to set the scene, I'm going to share with you a little video I've made. It's a voiceless video just to set your mind in a different orientation and to think more about embodiment in general. So let me share my screen. Just go to my screen here and let's just watch this video. Just a moment. Just a moment. A little technical hit. Right. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Okay. Just one moment. Forgive me. Oh, no, I've lost it. Okay. So maybe that's given you some different ideas about trust. It's important that we really feel it in the body. And that's what a lot of my work is about, getting people to trust their very own bodies, which mostly they don't. We've spent a lot of time outsourcing our bodies. We outsource our health. We outsource education to qualified strangers, when all the time we are the best people to understand our own bodies. And I believe inside us we have all the answers. Yeah. So without more ado, I'd love to introduce my co-host today. She's a dear friend of mine. She has done extraordinary work with women. One of her brain children is the Wise Women Collective. It is a free women's global networking and connection site community. And also the Be More Confident for Women, which is a wonderful event, which I have been involved in. And also she's the founder of the Bridge Collective, which is another extraordinary networking community, which I am privileged to be a member of. And she says in her own words that everything she does, the thread and the container is connection to self, to others, to everything. And this comes through in the Bridge Collective and the Wise Women Collective communities. And she is also a Reset It teacher and works a lot to help people reset their minds. So let me bring her onto the stage. Lynn, welcome.
Hi, Linden. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad you're here. Great. I'm going to make us a little bit bigger so that people can really get the full impact.
Yeah. All of a sudden I have this one piece.
Well, before you talk to us, because I'm so looking forward to your talk, tell us a little bit about how you felt about the video I played.
Oh, it was wonderful. I could feel my whole body relaxing as I just took in the concepts. I love that trust flows like water in the body. And I was picturing, right before it said that, I was watching the video of the stream. And I was thinking, oh, that feels like such a great analogy for the way energy and body fluids, blood, lymph, all the things flow in our bodies. And, the way water flows on the earth, the creeks, then the rivers, then the ocean, it just seemed like such a great analogy. I love that.
Super. I'm so glad. Yes, that's where it came from, really, this idea of flow, which is so important. And I really feel that flow is connected to trust. That if we trust our bodies, if we trust our nearest people, then we just flow on like the body flows on.
And you said it somewhere in the video or on a slide in the video. I can't remember whether it was in word. I think it was in the words. I always think of this kind of trust, this embodied trust, not the trust that someone earns or builds, but I always think of this kind of trust. I experience it as knowing. It is a knowing, an internal knowing, right? That's what I felt like you were describing, right? It's this, we trust our bodies, we trust our intuition, we trust our inner knowing, and and we allow it or we block it. We can just as easily block it. with stress and
Yes.
tension and worry and, all the things that, embedded subconscious beliefs that get in our way.
That's right. And I really feel, yes, you've hit the nail on the head. I think that we outsource even things like trust.
Yeah.
We put it outside the body and we say, oh, come on, let's build it or let's earn it. And
I might have a knowing, and then before I can trust my knowing, I've got to call my friend, right? Phone a friend.
Yeah.
And get a validation of my inner knowing by talking to somebody else. Those of us who are raging extroverts and sometimes don't know what we say, what we think until we say it out loud, that becomes this block to trusting our inner knowing.
Yes.
It's a habit, and sometimes it's a part of our personality or whatever, but we cultivate that phone a friend habit. I have to have outer validation for my inner knowing before I know what I know.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It's extraordinary. We are such complete beings, physically, spiritually, and yet we live outside. There's nobody home. There's nobody at home most of the time.
Right. And I love the way you talk about this embodiment and trust as part of your business plan. I love the way you bring these concepts out of the realm of only for people who are interested in some spiritual path or something, and bring it to, no, we're talking about your life and your business and the way you interact in the world, right? That's what this is. This is this idea of inner knowing, this idea of trusting your body to tell you. Your body has been doing this your whole life. This is not new. This is what your body is wired to do.
Yes.
And so I love that you talk about it in terms of when we are entrepreneurs or business owners or operating inside a larger business, we are still dealing with coming at our work and our organizations from this place of embodiment.
Yes. Well, I think it's just the absolute key, and especially for the future, because, we all need our own personal economies. The traditional 9-to-5 grind is crumbling rapidly. Health care is a big problem for many people. And all the time, we have all the resources we need to be healthy and happy. They're right here inside us. But we insist on going out all the time, seeking validation, seeking approval from others. Yes, my business, and I'm sure your business too, they are my life. They're part of my life. They are my life at the moment. Nothing else. It is me. My business is me. And the more embodied I am, the more self-reliant, the more cherishing I am, not in a bad way, the better my business will be. It was Ayn Rand, who is a great hero of mine, because of her philosophy, her objectivism, but particularly because of the self-dependence. I mean, as you know, she left the Soviet regime in a big cloud of smoke, and came to America, went to America, and just had experienced this most extraordinarily inhuman way of living with the Soviets, And so she very strongly, from the moment she set foot in the States, started to really create her philosophy around self-dependence. And this, to me, is the absolute secret of true happiness, because we can't rely on anybody else to be happy. We have to be happy inside for us, for ourselves.
You make me think of that that old saying of, you may as well like yourself, you're the one you're stuck with till the end, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And yet we turn our backs on ourselves all the time by, outsourcing. And when it comes to trust, I think this is key because to me, my trust is about me. It's trust in me, and if I trust me totally, unconditionally, then I trust everyone. And so trust is a physiological thing, and unfortunately, some people have trauma in their bodies and they stop trusting, and it's really one of the first things that gets disturbed. They don't trust anybody, so it is, we are trust, in the same way that people say we are love, not we have love or we do love or whatever. Are love. Well, to me, in the same, we are trust. And that's the very essence of humanity to me.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting, Linden, because the words that we try to put on the wordless, the words, humanity has been doing it since there were people who could think. We have been making meaning out of the world. That's what we are. We are meaning makers, and we do it very well and very in lots of different ways. But the interesting thing to me is that in every culture, that in every religious or spiritual or faith background around the world, there are threads of universality that come back to these ideas of, we embody, we can come up with ways it is said in the Upanishads and ways that it is said in the Bible and ways that it is said, right? This thread of humanity, we are inextricably linked. When you said a minute ago, when we trust ourselves and our body, we can trust everyone else, I felt a ripple of people out there listening going, I know better than to trust everybody else, right? I'm not stupid. I'm not, right? So I want to address that because it's kind of the elephant in the room about this, right? When you trust yourself, it isn't that you trust no one else will misbehave. It is you trust that you can then see that piece that is the same. This is really the thread that goes through all of my work, and the container that holds it all is this idea of the unbroken web. We are connected through this unlimited mind that lives within us, that is a piece of the all, right? Life is expressing through us. Life with a capital L is expressing through us, as us, into the world of physicality. And this idea that, the blade of grass outside my window, I say all the time, the cells of those blades of grass, they're just being blades of grass cells, right? And the same, they got no programming or conditioning or life experience that get in the way. They're just being blades of grass cells. They are the unbroken web expressing the quantum energy field, if you will, the unified field, whatever you want to call it, expressing. Here we are with those words that we use to describe the unnameless, right? Expressing as blades of grass cells. And the same is true for the cells in my little pinky finger here, right? These cells are just being pinky finger cells. But we have this consciousness. We have this ability to get in our own way, to affect the cells of our body, when the cells of our body are in fact always telling us what's going on around us. right? What are we looking at? What are we thinking about? Is it ours? Our body will tell us. And that is part of the work that we do in Reset It, is we teach people to hear and see what their body has been doing for them since birth, right? This is not new. It's not, and it's something every human being can do. Just most of the time, no one's taught us how. So it is so important for us to realize, the shift this made in me is my father was what he would call a defensive driver. And he really judged everybody else on the road very critically. And if somebody else cut him off in traffic or did something on the road he thought was, not useful or dangerous or whatever, he would have a lot to say about it in our car, right? We all got to hear it. And I would catch myself when I was an adult and driving, I would catch myself with my father coming out of my mouth when someone cut me off in traffic or whatever, right? Like that programming had stuck a little bit in my behavior. And after I started to really understand this idea of the unbroken web, today, as I walk through the world in a state of presence so that I can see that connection, I see that person do that behavior. It's not that I trust them not to hit me necessarily. It is that I see them as just another little part of me. And the analogy that really brings this home is, if all of us are part of the ocean, but you're a wave and I'm a wave, and everybody else is their own little wave. Some waves are tall and some waves are wide, and some waves have lots of foam and some waves have no foam, and some waves break right up on the shore, and some waves are just a little bump out in the ocean and they never crest, right? And all the waves are different, but all the waves are still ocean, right? And so I just see that person driving that car as, oh, there goes a little wave that's part of me. Wonder what's going on for that wave, right?
Yeah.
And it changes. And in business, what you're teaching in business, what that does for us is bring all the best parts of being human to doing our business, right? Our empathy, our understanding of others, right? And we start to understand there is no us and them. Yes. We start to understand the power of collaboration over competition. We start to understand, right? This has practical business applications. Definitely that you bring this conversation to that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. That's a great analogy. And I don't know if I told you the story about the murderer. Did I tell you? No, I didn't tell you the murderer.
I don't think so.
No. Well, this is a really true story, and it always will bring people to the realization you've just mentioned. Because when I was a young music therapist many years ago, I was a professional musician, and then I went into music therapy to help people. The power of music and the song was just my life, really. And I had to go to a very Victorian, long-term refuge for the criminally insane. Okay, that was my brief. I had to go and do music therapy with these prisoners. They were all criminals. And because I was a newbie, I think, they gave me a serial killer to work with. And this guy had killed maybe 10 or 11 people viciously. And I found out a lot about that later. However, so you can imagine, I was trembling from head to foot. I was carrying my percussion instruments in, because I use all sorts of instruments in music therapy, and they're all playing because I'm trembling so much, walking into this massive empty room with, at the very end, the murderer chained to a table, feet and wrists, and 2 guards. And I've been told not to get closer than 30 meters to him. That was my brief. Don't go any nearer than 30 meters. And they'd drawn a 30-meter line around him. So I had to stay outside the line. Okay. So I'm walking around singing and playing things and detecting the vibrations in the room. And this went on for a few weeks, and I got used to it in the end. And so I used to step over the line and get a bit closer to him, and the guards would go, but I felt very safe. So gradually I got closer and closer to him until I could see into his eyes. And one day we looked into each other's eyes, and I stopped making music and I said, I love you. You don't need to worry. And he cried, he sobbed. And at that moment, I realized that human behavior has nothing to do with the person inside very often. It's incongruent. And we became such good friends, and he spent so much time crying and, telling me all about these terrible murders. We didn't get so much music therapy done in the end, but it was just an amazing moment because I saw right inside him, and I saw that he was a really beautiful person, really beautiful spirit. And I told him that, and he just dissolved, So even a murderer, not many people have opportunity, but a serial killer like he was, I could love him. I could accept him unconditionally because his behavior had nothing to do with his inner spirit.
Right.
Now, this is what people are missing, isn't it? If they refuse to accept that they're spiritual, if they refuse to enter the unlimited mind, then they're never going to see this amazing incongruity of human behavior and eternal beauty. It's just amazing.
It is amazing, Linden, and that's a beautiful story. What a great story. I will never forget that story now. And but I would not call it spiritual. So I want to just say out loud to any listener who heard you say that word and went, oh, but I'm not interested in the spiritual. Spiritual is just one of those words we've come up with to describe this indescribable, right? And it's something that we do as people all the time. So if you hear any word I say or any word Linden says, and the word does not resonate with you, trust me that you can just call it whatever you want. Right? I have a friend who's a great speaker, and she used to start every talk by saying, whoever you are, wherever you are welcome here, and you are invited not to believe a word I say, but to experience it for yourself and come to your own conclusions, right? And we try so hard, don't we, to put words to this, and inevitably there's a word, right, that somebody goes, oh, well,
Yeah. So really what we're doing here is what was showing in the video, the unlimited mind versus the limited mind. And so of course, in the unlimited mind, we don't need words. We don't need any symbols. That's the whole point. In the limited mind, we do. And that is the challenge of being in the visual world, in the intellectual world, isn't it? It's the huge challenge to use words in a skillful way so that nobody is ostracized, everybody's included. Well, yeah, it's the challenge of my life do that. And I'm so glad you're here to help me with it. Wow, it's incredible.
Well, it's the challenge of mine too. That's why I'm so good at hearing it when someone else says it, because I need someone to listen when I say it too, right? Anything. Like I may use a word that resonates for me, but that might not make it resonate for you or anyone else listening.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But in a way, that brings us back to trust, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Doesn't it? Because from the moment I met you, I knew.
Oh yeah.
There was a huge connection, and I believe it's karmic actually. But I oozed trust in your direction. You did the same, and so there was no question of getting to know each other or anything like that.
Right. That's so funny that you say that, Linden, because I would also say, the limited mind would say to me things like, when I have an experience like you and I had, where it was just instant knowing, instant trust, I feel like I was recognizing you, not meeting you. Right. So that's a feeling most of us can relate to, right? You meet someone and it's like, I've known them my whole life. We've all had experience, or we have old friends who we just pick up with right where we left off 15 years ago or something, right? So we've all had those kinds of connections, and that's what we're talking about. And I feel like those connections are, we in our limited mind can analyze them. We can compare them. We can ask questions about them, right? That's how we get in the way of this knowing or this trust, right? When we have the experience of trust, that embodied trust, my body is telling me this is for me and this is a good connection and all of that, right? Then our limited mind gets going. Our conscious mind, I would call it, starts to go, what do you really know about her? Or do you really understand her work? Do you know that her work is in alignment? Whatever. Like, come on, whatever that list of things would be from a conditioned and programmed mind, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So yes, we are highly conditioned here, but in the unlimited mind, nothing, no conditioning. Pain.
That's right.
Nothing.
And that's what we use in Reset It, to get rid of those programs and conditions. Yeah.
Brilliant. We're on the same wavelength. We could talk for hours about this, I know.
We could.
I would like you to talk to us now about your work and your approach to.
Well, I really want to say that I love this conversation. I mean, I'll talk a little bit about that, but I really love this conversation because I think it's so important for people to not just hear from one expert. It's important for people, an expert, I'm just using that to describe the people talking, right? But I think conversation and community is so huge. And it is, you've heard me say many times that no matter what I'm doing, and I do a lot of different things, no matter what I'm doing, connection is my highest calling and my highest value. And I've experienced it lots of different ways in my life, but in my work, I love to gather people and have them have the opportunity to connect. And we do that best when we have gotten out of our own way, right? We do that best when we are free of the cage of the programs and conditions. And what do I mean by that? I keep saying those words, but I just want to say very briefly that we're all programmed. Our first programmers are our sweet parents or whoever raised us and took care of us as infants and children and sent us off into life, right? They are our first programmers. And some programs were helpful, to the 3-year-old, hold hands and cross the street, hold hands and look both ways when you cross the street is a helpful program to a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 5. Right. But eventually you don't need the program to figure out how to cross the street safely. Right. But there are so many programs that society also just inundates us with programs. In the United States, I always give the example of just watch an American football game on TV, and you will get every commercial is an example of societal programming of what should you eat when you watch football? What should you drink when you watch football? Right? What do how do athletes behave? How are women supposed to look? Like all of this stuff is just like flooded through just the commercials during a football game and the football game itself. So it is natural that we have this programming, and then we have life experience that comes along and over and over reinforces it. That's the conditioning. So we get it from people, we get it from society, and what it leads to is these embedded subconscious beliefs that become like filters. It's as if I took off my glasses with the clear lenses and put on my sunglasses with the dark lenses. And now I see the same world, but I'm seeing it differently. Those are the filters in our subconscious mind that we are looking at the world through, that are based on programs and conditions that don't belong to us. And so when I look at myself or the world through some filter that says, what's it mean to be a woman? What's it mean to be smart? Your body ought to look this way. Food means this. Money means this, right? You have to work hard. You have to, right? Food is comfort. Whatever those filters are for each individual, they're affecting how we move through the world and how we see ourselves and the world in a way that just doesn't belong to our authentic self. And when we can remove them, we see ourselves and everyone else and all the things, our work, all of it differently. So that is so important for us to just be aware that we have these things and we can easily remove them. And so that's the main gist of my work. And then, I'm a person who loves connection. So I gather people and connect with them and have an opportunity to give for them to connect. And at the Wise Women Collective, that looks like women coming together to, have the opportunity and the environment. We try to create the environment for all of us to step into our greatness and our power and to live a purposeful life and create choices for ourselves and see that we can connect and have community in a meaningful way. And the Core Conference was born from that group. So that conference embodies those same principles and brings women together to connect and learn and grow together. And then, the Bridge Collective is this amazing way to network in business. It is an amazing way for me when I meet someone and think, oh, they need to meet Linden. I really want to introduce Linden to this person. Bridge Collective is how I do it. Quickly, elegantly, relationship first. It's never cold messages. It's always connecting. I already know who are trusted connections.
Yes. Again, so that word.
Thousands of people on LinkedIn, but I only have a couple hundred trusted connections, right? So back to trust, right? How do I operate in my business based on trust? And Bridge Collective is a big part of how I do that.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I think your work is superb. And I think one of the things I really want to talk to you about sometime in detail is leadership, because I feel that leadership has become a kind of obsession in life with people. Everybody's talking about leadership, but what people are not talking about is self-leading.
Right.
And until we are embodied, until we inhabit our existence, which most of us don't, we just live on the program edge,
Right.
then we're not really in a state to lead other people. And my vision for the future is that everybody is embodied. Okay, everybody takes embodiment so seriously and becomes thoroughly embodied. And so we don't need leaders. We are all leaders and we just collaborate. That's my dream for humanity. And yeah, I wonder what you think about this leadership kind of obsession.
Yeah, it is. I know what you mean. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's on everyone's lips. We're all talking about leadership. And interestingly enough, I used to have a talk I did on leadership, and that what you said, it starts with self-leadership, was the point of the whole talk. Like that was the whole talk right there. We could have just said that on a slide and gone home, right? Because I just kept saying it over and over in all these different ways. And it's so true. And I think, all transformation seems to start with some sort of awareness. And so when we are in a work environment, whether we're an entrepreneur or whether we're working in a larger organization and we're an employee, but we're in some leadership role, managerial role, whatever it is, in those situations, we are not trained to think self-leadership first. It's why there's a multi-billion-dollar self-help industry, right? Because people aren't generally taught these things in school. People aren't taught how to be a self-leader first and connect with other people and all of that in meaningful ways. They're taught around tasks, and we're taught around to-do lists, and we're taught around, there's a huge industry around calendar apps and planners and all these things to help us lead better and be better, and all this stuff, when really everything you need to do that is right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I kind of knew your view on this before I asked you, but I am so concerned about people because I'm finding that everything kind of reverts back to leadership. So instead of leadership, I'm moving to not embodied leadership, but embodied living.
Yeah.
Because living is the thing we have to do well. Again, Ayn Rand said we have a moral duty to be happy. Yeah, I really, really believe that. If people are in their life and they are not happy and they get therapy or they find another partner or they eat a lot of chocolate or whatever it is, they're not happy. Okay, well, that's their moral duty to correct. And only we can do it. I mean, why don't people realize this? I can't get
so
it at
you
all.
make me think of, I do a podcast with my dear friend and business collaboration partner, Brooke Haynes, called Frequency 500. And this is just a little bitty podcast. Brooke and I talk about these exact things. And frequency, Dr. David Hawkins wrote lots of books about frequency and the map of consciousness and all of this. In the map of consciousness explained, David R. Hawkins said, he has a scale of 0 to 1,000, and at 1, you're in existence, right? That's the frequency of just barely existing. And at 1,000, it's whatever we might call enlightenment or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Another word.
And right, for another word that doesn't say what it needs to say, right? So 1 to 1,000, and it isn't a linear progression, but 200 and below is shame and guilt and anger and fear and all the lower things. And 500 is love, pure love. And then 1,000 is, And so he says that, and he was a clinical psychologist, he was a researcher. So he says at calibration at 500, why, to answer the question, why have we not killed each other yet? Right? Living the way we live, why have we not imploded the earth and killed everybody? And, and he says, because one person calibrating at 500 counterbalances 750,000 people at 200 or below. So,
yeah, I remember this. I read this book.
Yeah. For the Tibetan monks on top of some Himalayan mountain, right? Who are calibrating at a level at 500 or above, because they're counterbalancing all this nonsense, right? So that's one way to think of it. And this idea of it, of our frequency, our choice of happiness, our choice of embracing those frequencies that resonate in our bodies, that our bodies say hell yes to, right? I have a good friend who says it's either a hell yes or it's a hell no, right? So when we get to that frequency place where, and that embodiment practice where we're walking around in a state of presence, knowing what is for us and what is not, it lifts our vibration. It lifts the ease of happiness. And that idea that it is our moral duty is the whole reason Brooke and I do that podcast, because I read that passage in his book one day, and I immediately called Brooke and said, we need to be talking about this to the whole world. Like, everybody needs to understand that the closer we can be to 500, we're counterbalancing all this, hate and violence and whatever that's going on in the world 200 or below. So I do think it's it is, I'm not sure I'd call it moral, but that's another word, right?
That's another word.
Another word there is, but yes.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, everybody's chasing happiness, aren't they? I mean, if we could find one thing that every human has in common, unless they are psychopaths of some kind, then we're all looking for this kind of dream state of happiness, where everything resolves and everything's smooth and there's more than enough of everything and so on. But actually, we already have it.
We have that. Yeah.
We have
it all the time.
Right here. It's right in your heart.
Yes,
we are blessed with incredible abundance. And in my meditation work, I always do a lot of breath work. But one of the things that makes people cry quite often and really turns people around is when I say, do you realize that human beings breathe between 20 and 24,000 times every 24 hours? And there's a frisson, always a frisson. Nobody has remembered what breath is because we take it for granted. And I just have to say, planet Earth provides breathable gas, so you can live. Oh, they collapse because they completely never ever thought about that in their lives.
Right. And I've never met a human being who came into my reset at work yet who doesn't have some programming and conditioning around worthiness. And so this idea that the planet breathes so I can breathe, right? This idea that I live in this ecosystem that is uniquely made just so I can do this, so we can all do this, right? That speaks to those tears come from the idea being so big that I am worthy of that is right. That's what brings that emotion, is the thought, I never thought I was worthy of that. And it's clear that it's true, right?
Isn't that appalling, really, that
Yeah.
we are so programmed and so conditioned, and the layers of conditioning are accreted, endless layers from the age of 5 onwards. We are so kind of cramped up with conditioning that we can't possibly connect with this glorious feeling of gratitude. I think gratitude fills my life every moment. It's always with me, and it's definitely my first thought every day. Thank God I got through the night,
Right.
I could
right.
breathe.
I woke up. Look, I can open my eyes. Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
one of the things that we do in Wise Women Collective is every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, we have a completely free Zoom event called Celebration Friday. And we gather women together, and everybody gets a chance to celebrate from their past week and declare what they're going to celebrate next week. And I talk about celebration as if gratitude were a hotbed of coals that was providing you warmth. Celebration is like pouring lighter fluid on that bed of coals. It ignites it. Celebration is gratitude ignited, right?
Yeah.
And gratitude is I call it the greatest shifter of all. Because if you're in a bad place, if you can just truly tune in to the feeling tone of gratitude, it will shift you to a slightly better place on Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, map of consciousness, right? If you're at 180, gratitude might get you to 190 or 200, right? Like it will shift you on your way. But celebration is like gratitude on steroids. So how do we feel that gratitude and then expand that energy to literally celebrating that for which we are grateful? Wonderful. And I love that.
Gosh, I've got to join that somehow. I think it's 4:00 in the morning for me or something.
Well, that's right.
I will have to come and join you. That sounds fantastic. Super.
And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say,
we'll have to come bring this celebration to an end because I've got to go to another live event now. And I'm so sorry because I just want to go on and on talking to you. So I hope you're going to come back soon.
I'd love to.
Good. And join some of my other I've got 2 podcasts at the weekend. I'd love to have you on there. Anyway, it's all a question of timing and sharing you out with all your other
well, I want to celebrate that you do this. I want to celebrate the technology that allows me to sit in Kentucky and you to sit in Japan, and we do this. I am wildly grateful and celebrating that we have this opportunity to make this connection. Yeah,
absolutely. Me too. It's superb. Thank you so much, Lynn. This has been such a pleasure, and we've learned so much about your work and how it all fits together with my work. And
it's beautiful.
Yes, really wonderful. Thank you so much. And take care, and I will be in touch very soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks so much to Lynn Schuessler-Williams. It's great to have her here. We are so in tune, and the work we do is really so similar. So I hope that you got a lot from our talk. If you have any questions, I can't see any coming in right now. If you have any questions or any comments, don't hesitate to leave them for us and we'll answer them as soon as we can. And this is Linden Thorp and Lynn Schuessler-Williams on the Your Body is Your Business Plan, the Masterclass. Join us next week. We've got another exciting lineup and we'll be telling you about that during the week. But let me leave you with this idea that trust is like water. It gets wherever it wants to go. It just filters everywhere. So let trust be very fluid in your life. Don't build it, just be it. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye-bye.